Welcome, everybody. Mike Martinez, Born to Win Conversations, number what? 13, right?
Yes, sir.
13.
Sensei Juan, thank you for joining us today again, always. And we have a special guest. You guys are going to love this guy. His name is, he actually was a mentor of mine in one of the businesses I practiced. He was one of the trainers that got me started, helped me pass the test to get licensed in my state, and just an all-around knowledgeable guy. And Mr. Akey Ahiem, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. I feel honored and a privilege to be here on this evening.
Yeah, well, we're going to have some fun. We're going to kick it around in just a second. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Listen, tonight we got a great conversation. We're following up on the law of attraction, the law of vibration, the law of frequency, and how to, better align our thoughts and our emotions with the goals that we have, and how to pursue our passions. And I'm looking forward to hearing from Brother Ahiem, to share his wisdom with us.
Yeah, let me jump in there, Brother Akey. First of all, so for the people that don't know who you are, and this goes for anybody watching this channel today, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification so that you know when we got a new video up, and you want to look up Akey Ahiem on YouTube. He has several channels. He is a public adjuster as well as I am, and he's a reverend. He's a pastor. And he just spreads the good news and explains Bible texts that are hard to explain.
Nice.
Sensei, Brother Akey, what was it that you saw about YouTube that caught your attention?
You.
That wasn't prepared, by the way.
Yeah, I really had no interest in doing anything on YouTube. I watched it on TV like everybody else. I didn't know how to use it or anything like that till Mike brought it to our attention in a class one day. And I know Mike, and I know his heart. I know what his commitment is to different things. So when I seen his excitement about it, I said, you know what? And let me see how to put this where I could use this. And I knew I had somebody that would be there with me, that he wouldn't just be there for a hot minute and disappear on me one day. And I was right, because he still did help with me. Because one thing about him, I always call him and I always say these things to him. I said, did I catch you at a bad time? Because he know when I say that, I got some stuff. And he's always been there for me. He gave me, and what happened when I started the public insurance, Mercer County Public Adjuster for the public justice side of it, I told him, it's on my heart to use this for preaching, but I don't want to mix the two. I need to separate them. And he said, listen, brother, do this, do this, do this, do this, and you can do. And I did it, and I said, okay. And I'm starting to reach a lot of people, get a lot of people interested. I get a lot of reviews on them, and I tell Mike this all the time. He don't want to hear it though. God used him to give me a platform to get the word out where otherwise I couldn't have got it to people. So that's my take on YouTube.
Sensei, what do you got to comment on this?
I think that goes back to our conversation of attraction. That sometimes we put something out there into the universe and we don't know how it's going to show up in our lives. And like Brother Ahiem was saying, he was looking to reach out to the ministry, and now he was your mentor in one aspect, but then you became his mentor in teaching him technology or how to utilize YouTube, and now he's using that so other people could be blessed, and
Yes.
hopefully that'll keep spreading out. That's what we need. We need that message to get out there. For me, I believe in God. I believe, spreading the good news of God is always a positive thing. But we can grow as people. We can, achieve different things. But we have to be open to it, because you could have, this is not for me. I'm too old for this. Why am I doing this? This is not the way other people do it. But you were open to it. And now, again, other people are being blessed because you were open to a new idea. That's what I think about it, Mike.
Yeah. And, Sensei, because you and I know about going up the scales and adding to your, wanting to get to the next belt level and wanting to grow, I've always been impressed with Akey because, Akey, how old are you? And he's always honest about this. How old are you?
71.
71 years old. And as a 71-year-old, to pick up technology and to start, using it for, your ministry, to start using it to develop your public adjusting business, that's something admirable because, the fact of the matter is most people give up on learning right out of college, right? Most people don't ever pick up another book. Most people don't want to advance themselves. What is it with you, Key, that gives you that extra wanting, that extra energy to go and do that?
Well, I can't do nothing but tell the truth. And the bottom line is, I was called to teach and preach the word of God. God sent me to college for this and everything. So,
Right.
and there's no, and you can't have a gift and hoard it. You have to share it with people. And if you're not sharing it, then you're defeating the purpose. It's like the story about when God gave the guys the talent, gave one 5, gave one 2, 3, gave one 1. One took, everybody did something with this except the one. He put it and hit it in the ground. And so he took it from him and gave it to somebody else. So, I don't want that to happen to me. And I love teaching. I love preaching. I love teaching people what they don't know. And let me say this, forgive me if I'm throwing this off script because I have to say this before I forget. Sensei Juan. Now, I've heard a lot about you from Mike. I've seen all the videos which you guys did on the conversations on how to get further on, how to go on past different things. But on the last one on 12, Mike says something that I didn't really know. I knew it, but I didn't know it. He says, Sensei, you had to overcome an obstacle that most people don't have to overcome. And I'm listening now because you don't perk my ears. He said, because you wanted to go into martial arts, which is really geared towards Orientals, and you Spanish. Now you talking about picking a field where there's a hurdle to overcome, a wall to break through, and then you still wanted to do it and break through, and you didn't let anything stop you from doing it. Admiration, I couldn't help but admire that. Even though I already did, that just took it up another notch because I know a lot of people, the minute they was told that ain't for you, that's another race or this, it's just not, they would have quit. But you said because it was in your heart.
Yeah.
Get up here, it was in your heart.
Yeah. It's funny, brother, because I feel that teaching martial arts and getting into it was my calling also.
Yes.
And there were, it's funny, and I'm very open about this. My mother has never seen me perform. She never came to any of my exams. My dad never came to any of my tournaments. He never came to any of my promotions. I remember when I got my first black belt, and listen, that was like 15, 16 years working towards that. Nobody in my family showed up, so it was hard on me, but that drive to do this, I wasn't going to let anything happen. But it was good that that happened to me, because now when I promote my kids, I insist that the parents be there. And I
Yes.
make it a very special day for them, because I know what it is not to have that family support. So when I'm in the dojo talking to my kids and everything, I always remind myself that, and me and Michael were talking a lot about this. These kids may not have anybody encouraging them, being positive in their corner, telling them that they can do it, helping them reach their greatness. And since I didn't have that, I feel it's my obligation to do that. And it's funny, because today I was watching a lot of Jackie Chan interviews, because he's one of my heroes. And it
Right.
was something that I didn't know. Everybody knows he grew up in the Chinese opera house. The family sold him to that kind of school. He was there from like the ages of 5 to about 17. And they were very, very abusive. And, when he came out of there, he said, listen, I wasn't a good person. I was very, my focus was on becoming a great actor, money. And a couple of times he was asked to do charity events, and he was like, no, I don't want to be bothered with that. So finally they got him to do one, and they gave him credit for giving gifts to the kids there. And he didn't buy one gift,
Right.
but he said he felt so embarrassed.
Right. Right.
That the following year he came, and when he saw how important this was to give back, that changed his life. And now he does charities all over the world. He's got a special foundation, and he feels that's, he was talking that is more important to him now than the money, the fame, and the making the movies. He uses all that as a vehicle to do this. And I think that's what the three of us have in common.
Yeah.
What do you say, Mike?
Well, I'm very pleased that Akey brought your situation out, because I'm going to be candid with our audience, and I hope you don't mind, Akey, but you face the same thing, right? You are a gentleman that has, a criminal
background.
right. You were in the streets when you
That's
were
right.
and you enjoyed the streets, and
Yeah. When I was out there,
you
listen.
did what you did, right?
Right.
You enjoyed the streets. But at some point you had that shift in your mind. Jesus Christ came into your life, or the gospel came into your life, whatever it was, something came into your life that changed you from Saul to Paul, like they say, right?
Yes.
And so I'm sure, like Sensei, you must have heard a lot of, are you kidding me? With your reputation, with your background, you want to be a preacher? You want to go study that in college? Are you kidding me? That'll never happen, right? So first of all, did that happen? And how did you overcome that?
Well, the easiest way to get you to really understand the picture was I had no intention of going to church. I had no intention of getting saved. God kept entering into my life, and I fall asleep, and I wake up, the gospel's on the TV. I turn the TV on, turn the radio on. This they laugh, then the gospel's on that, he's coming after me, and I'm fighting, and then he sent me a vision, where I was in my hell, not somebody else's hell. It was a place where the house was falling out, rats all over the place. I couldn't lay down to sleep because rats everywhere. I mean, and I was saying, Lord, how long am I going to be in this hell? He said, well, you've only been here half of the time you got to go. And I said, man, I don't want to be here. And he was letting me know, if you don't change, this is where you're going to spend. So I was like a child, supposed to have been washing the dishes and didn't. I got spanked to wash the dishes. I didn't wash them because I wanted to. I just did it so I wouldn't get spanked again. So that's why I went to church. I went there because I wanted to be, because I still love the streets, but rather than go through that again, I'm going to go to church. So I got there, and one Sunday morning, they preached a sermon from John 4 through 16 about the woman at the well. And it's the only way I can make this make sense. And the woman was at the well, and Jesus asked her for a drink of water, and she told him, you a Jew asked me for water, because she was being facetious, because the Jews and the Hebrews didn't get along. And she said, well, he told her, well, if you knew who it was that was asking you for, you would ask me for a drink of water. And I'd give you a drink of water that would spring up to an everlasting life, and you would never thirst after the things of this world again. And that second, and that instant, I knew what had been wrong with me all my life. I was thirsting after the things of this world. So at the same time she said, give me a drink of water, my soul screamed to heaven, give me a drink of that water. I got saved that day. And tell you how God operates. God took cigarette smoking from me that day. My sister was there. She can verify this. It ain't something I'm just saying and making up. She was there. She's still alive. She can prove this. And he took cigarette smoking from me. Now remember, I didn't ask for him to take that. That was a gift from him to let me know I can do any and all things in your life if you just trust and believe in me. And so because of the way it took place, I was so open to it, the way I wanted it so bad, I knew I had to get rid of all my friends. I mean, that meant I didn't have no friends because all my friends were just like me. We were street people. And so and they had bets in the street that I wasn't gonna stay in church because they knew he loved the streets. Ain't nowhere in the world. I bet you he ain't gonna stay. But they still losing that bet because 30 something years later I'm still in the church, still serving the Lord. And that's why I have to tell it that way, because it wasn't an overnight thing. It was a process that God used to get me to a place that he had something that I needed that nobody else could give me but him.
Yeah. Talk about the law of attraction, huh, Sensei?
Yeah, it's funny because we were talking about that on the last couple of videos.
Right.
That sometimes you have to separate from certain people. You may love them.
Right.
And sometimes they may not be bad people.
Right.
They may not be bad people. But because they're not going in the direction that you want to now take your life to,
right,
you have to separate them because you can't travel that new road. They want to stay on that old road. They want to continue doing what they're doing. And it may not be bad things, but you want to go to another level. And now you have to get together with like-minded people to take you there. Okay. And again, sometimes, like I work at a hospital. I'm a therapist during the day. And, a lot of times, we know, like if somebody's suffering from drug addiction, alcoholism, if they go right back to the same environment, whatever work was done in the hospital,
right,
usually gets lost.
Right.
They have to break away. And again, we're not putting other people down. Everybody carries their crosses. Everybody has their background. But sometimes you have to make a change in your environment, your friends, your physical environment, to take you to the next level. Because, we talk a lot about the law of attraction, the law of frequency. But if we keep ourselves closed and we don't allow the law of attraction, God, to come into our life and for let's say his Holy Spirit to work in us, there comes a point where, hey, you want to stay there, God or the universe is going to leave you there. What do you say, Mike?
Yeah, that I'll tell you, I didn't know that story. Akey, very, very enlightening about you and your character. And again, before I go anywhere, if this is the first time you're looking at this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Give us a like, give us a comment, ask a question of Reverend Akey. And Reverend Akey has his own YouTube channel, which I'm posting on the video here. It's Reverend Akey on YouTube. You can find him, or you can find him at
Mercer County Public Adjuster.
What is it?
Mercer County Public Adjuster.
Mercer County Public Adjuster.com. That'll take you right to his public adjusting channel. But from what you were saying, Sensei, and it's true, it's 100% true, especially as it relates to Akey. Sometimes the people that you circle around yourself, they're so familiar with you and you are so familiar with them. And when you step into that situation, it's almost like your mind automatically goes into another personality, right? You're getting, if you go into your church crowd, you start, you're in your church personality. But if you're in your street crowd, you're in your street crowd personality, right?
Right.
And that's one of the biggest detriment that people have, that they have a problem shutting themselves away from the bad influence. And here's the bottom line. If you don't take control of your focus and what's going into your mind on a regular basis, you're just going to be moving in whatever direction your crowd is moving. And the fact of the matter is 95% of the people are moving in the wrong direction. So if they're heading for the cliff, if they're heading for jail, if they're heading for murder, if they're heading to be killed, or if they're whatever, if they're heading for drug addiction and you're running in that crowd, you're going to be in the same momentum with them. Now let me ask you this, Akey, because you are a preacher, because you are a mature man, you're a married man with a successful business, you're a mentor for other people, and you're an entrepreneur. Do people come and ask you about, how wealth it should be managed in their life, or what, whether it's a spiritual thing or whether they should? How do you deal with those situations?
Well, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. First of all, you need to find out exactly what people mean by wealth. Some people are saying, "I just want enough to slip by." Some people say, "I want more than enough. I want this. I want mansions and all this." So, but I tell everybody from the beginning, there's no point in asking God for something and you don't have a specific. What you need to do is sit down and take a whole month and write down every single item you spend money on. And when I say every single item, I mean every single item. I mean every cup of coffee, every bag of potato chips, everything. If you have to go to a funeral, the card you gotta buy, the money you give at the funeral, because all that's expenses.
Right.
Now, once you do that, now you got a pretty good idea of what you spending in a month, and you can multiply that by 12, what you spend in a year. Now you know what to ask God for. Now, if you want double that, then you ask for double. If you just want enough to cover, then you ask for that. But now you know, because I was listening to Bishop Noel Jones this morning. He was saying, people have a habit of asking God for something, and then when he give it to them, they get upset. So he said, "God, I need a financial blessing." And he give you $1. Well, you got a financial blessing because you weren't specific. You have to be specific in what you want. If you want a specific kind of car, because listen, if you're not specific, how you know God gave it to you?
Right.
You have to be specific.
Very good. Very good.
And I want to add, it's great that you talked about prayer, because in the scriptures, it also says, pray as if you have already received what you're asking for.
Right.
And I think it's very important that we gotta have faith that what we've already prayed for, it's on its way. It's already there. We gotta have that faith that God has heard us, that whatever has to take place is going to take place. Now it may take a little longer than we want to, all right, but it will happen, and sometimes it will happen in a different way than what we expect. Like sometimes you may be praying for more money, but and you say, I need more money, I'm working a job. God may provide you with a second job. You may not want to take that second job, but at least that's the door that he opened for you.
Right.
And if you step in through that door, you don't know where that second job is going to take you.
It might overtake the first one, right?
Right. That's what he's saying, that you got to be specific. That's a very good point. Yeah.
And there's also scriptures that says in Corinthians, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, but the evidence of things not seen. So in order for us to believe it's going to take place, we're hoping for it. But if you see it, then I don't take any faith. The faith is that you haven't seen it yet. And that's why oh man, we don't have enough time for this. But that's why you need to go car shopping. I mean, not to buy a car, but just to see what it is I want. Get the smell of the car in your nostrils. Get the feel of the leather and stuff and say, yeah, I could deal with this. Go, man, I used to love to go house shopping because then oh man, look at this, look at that. I even do it now in our business because well, not lately, but we used to go to people's houses all the time. I could see millionaire homes and stuff like, whoa, I didn't know, yeah, you could do this. And now I'm getting ideas for myself. And that's why you need to do that so you can visualize it. You don't have it yet, but now you can get an idea of what you want to work towards. But if you don't, now they tell everybody to get the what they call them vision boards and all that.
Right.
I got a book from years ago, man. If I show you that book, you look at me and say you crazy. I mean, it got a lot of stuff in there, and the main thing with me is I want God to be pleased with my life when it's over with. If I got the money, great. If I don't, it's not going to drive me crazy because my whole thing is I want a soul train going to heaven. Yes, I want to get to heaven, but I don't want to go by myself. I want to take some other folks with me. I want it to be said that, you know what, when you was down there, you made sure that you gave it to people so they could make the right choice, the right decision. You put it where they could understand it and they didn't reject it because as you was talking about on the last one, you have to have an enjoyable attitude. You have to be grateful. And I am grateful. That's why I'm grateful to Mike for this. I'm grateful to you for hearing your story. And I've seen you quite a few times. I feel as though I know you.
Well, go ahead. Let me ask you, since we're talking about gratitude, right?
Yeah.
In your experience of your ministry, right? And your network marketing business, how important is it to instill hope in other people?
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you asked that. One of the hope I give people is because I'm not ashamed of my background. I'm not proud that I did that stuff, but I'm not ashamed to use it to help people. To answer your question, a lot of people in the business know my background, and so you have to have a background check to get in our business. And I could never get my record expunged because I got so much stuff on it. But I still got my public adjuster's license. So people know this. So when they get people to come into the business, this is where the hope part come in at. They feel like they might not be able to do it because of their background.
Right.
So they'll have them call me or have me call them and talk to them so that they could realize, hey, if you haven't done this, and this, then you got a shot at cause. Listen, I couldn't even get my record expunged, and I got my license to be a public insurance judge. Matter of fact, it started when I went into the prison ministry because I had to get a background check. So, and God did that for me again. Listen, as long as you working for me, doing what I have you to do, and you're not ashamed of the gospel, what I want you to do, I'll build you up. Just to give you really quick, Mike, remember when I started doing church services at our company, and it wasn't sanctioned, but I did it anyway. Because of the faithfulness, not building me up now, but because I trusted God. Tell him, Mike, is now sanctioned. They recorded and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, in every convention, before we even start the convention, that goes in and we go and have a great ceremony. I was the MC for one of them.
Right.
Just to introduce Reverend Akey, and he gave a slamming talk that day. It was really, really insightful, really encouraging, really inspirational. Now, we just got a few minutes here, guys, and here's what I want to ask you, Sensei. I want you to piggyback on this question for Akey and maybe ask him something similar to that. But Akey, before we get to close, what would you say to somebody that's in their 60s, in their 70s, kind of tightened up and says, I can't do this new stuff, or maybe I'm afraid, or whatever, what can you say to, like Sensei just said, give a person hope? Because that's very powerful, right? To be able to inspire somebody into action. What would you say to a person that may be looking at this, that is a little apprehensive and doesn't want to take a step forward? What would you say to them?
Proverbs 23:7a says, "For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." So if it's something that you truly want and you believe it, then you need to go after it. Because listen, if you think you can't, then you can't. If you think you can, then you can. You're right, no matter which one you choose, but the choice is yours.
Right.
We've all made choices. When I was in the street, I made choices. I never complained about anything out there when I got locked up or whatever. It was my choice. Wasn't no point in me trying to blame my parents and stuff. That was my choice. Now, when God gave me an opportunity to change my life from that to this, it was my choice. It's going to be your choice. If you're waiting on somebody else to tell you what choice to make, it's not gonna, all we can do is give you information. And through that information, you're going to have to make your own choices and decisions. Because you just heard my life story. You just heard a lot of stuff, which tell you
Right, right.
I could have stayed out there. I didn't have to come in, but I made a choice that I could become a useful person because I am so grateful, because if I hadn't changed, guess what? I wouldn't be sitting here with Mike. I wouldn't be sitting here with Sensei. I'd probably be dead in a jail somewhere,
God forbid.
So, thank God for God being God all by himself. He said, I look no judge all things.
Sensei, what do you want to throw in there for a key?
You know what? I like what you said about choices, because we live in a world now that unfortunately so many people have relinquished themselves from choices and responsibility.
Right.
They look forward to the government taking care of them. Oh, it's this person's fault, that person's fault. Everybody says it's everybody else's fault for not being where they're at. And the reality is, yeah, there are certain societal challenges that we all face, right? Anywhere you go in this world, you're going to find a certain amount of injustice. That's everybody, no matter where you go in this world. But at the end of the day, we all have the power to choose to go left or to go right.
That's right.
Yeah, and listen, I acknowledge, again, I work in a psychiatric hospital. There are certain people who start off life with a lot of strikes against them.
Yes.
Okay? And I talk to these kids, and it's heartbreaking. But I tell them, but look, you're in an environment now where you have 24/7 of trained professionals willing to help you. Okay? It's your choice to take advantage of that.
Right.
It's your choice to decide what you're going to do with that knowledge. Once you leave here, you got to make those choices. You got to take responsibility. It's like I tell my students, I cannot train for you. I can teach you how to train. I can try to inspire you, but I cannot do your push-ups.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do your push-ups.
Yes.
I did my push-ups. I did my training to get where I want to be. But you have to take responsibility and do this, because nobody can do it for you. At the end of the day, our parents, we got parents that maybe love us, spouses, children, people around us, but we have to take that step in. It's like the saying goes, God opens the door, but you got to step in through that door.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
God is not going to push you through the door. That's your choice. God is a loving God. He's given us free will, and we have that choice. We have the ability to go left, go right, study, become more disciplined. I love Michael, Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn said that we all have these choices, and they're so easy to make that people don't do them.
Right.
And that's the problem. That we all know what that we should eat healthy. We all know that we should exercise to some extent. We all know that we need to read. Michael was telling me a statistic that the average person reads less than one book a year, right, Mike?
Yep.
And these are things that we can all do for ourselves, but most people don't. But it goes back to what you were saying, brother, that it's a matter of choice. Mike, what do you want to add to that?
Well, Mike, before you I want to say this really quick.
You got 2 minutes. Hurry up.
Well, Sensei, you were saying that your mother and father never seen you,
Right.
which could have very easily crushed you and you quit. But you made the right choices to stick it out. That's all I wanted to say. I'm done, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
Thank
know
you.
what? This has been, and we gotta have a second version of this communication, because it was a tremendous pleasure to have you, Akey, and I mean that.
It was a blessing to be here.
And
Yeah,
Sensei, thank you again for for your time and devotion to the channel and this Born to Win conversations. Akey, promise us in front of the world right now that you're going to be back and have a second conversation with us.
Yes, sir, Mike. You know that. All you got to do is ask.
All right, man. I appreciate that. And you know what? This is going to be great. I'm going to send you a copy and I'm going to post this up. Sensei, next week we have, you got to look at this one, Akey. We're going to have one of Sensei's students who is just blowing it up with a nail business that she started online. And right, we're going to have some fun with that, Sensei.
She's only, she's going to be 15.
Okay.
Yeah. So
well, I see them all anyway because I'm subscribed to his channel, so it comes on my TV.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Well, again, for those of you that are looking, subscribe, like us, give us a comment. I'll speak to you guys next week. Thank you, Brother Akey and Sensei. I'll speak to you next week.
God bless you. God keep you. God watch over you.
Thank you.
All right. God bless, guys.